Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer. It is a pleasure to open this debate on behalf of Scottish Labour. I would like to thank the committee and its member for this report. It is in depth and considered look at the topic with many strands, and the committee has done well to pull them all together. I would also like to thank the many witnesses who contributed to the committee's inquiry. The sheer breadth of expertise is impressive and has provided us with a considerable resources as we consider this matter in future. The UK Internal Market Act has clearly been something of a watershed moment. Its passage not only signalled the effective end of the immediate Brexit process, but also inaugurated a new and uncomfortable era in which we, in the devolved parliaments and assemblies of this country, now find ourselves. The committee's report does a good job in highlighting the tensions which are now at play between the devolved institutions and Westminster, and provides some constructive commentary on how they may be mitigated in the future. I think it is necessary to briefly look back at how we got into this situation. It was clear to everyone when the UK left the European Union that certain powers would be repatriated. It would have made sense, given that situation, for the UK government to engage with the devolved governments and institutions in order to arrange how this would work with the devolved settlement. The fact that they did not do so, and we are now in this situation of considerable tensions within the devolution settlement, illustrates that devolution works best when Westminster and the devolved nations work together rather than apart. I hope the future governments learn the right lesson for these experiences. It is unfortunate that we find ourselves in this situation where this Act of the UK Parliament has been passed notwithstanding the withholding of legislative consent by both Scotland and Wales. But we are where we are. Scottish Labour remains committed to devolution and allowing devolution to work well. And so I shall move the tensions at the heart of this report and its suggestions for how they may be resolved in the future. On the tension between free trade and regulatory divergence, the committee's view appeared to be that the UK government has got the balance very wrong. We in Scottish Labour agree. We agree that there needs to be room for Scotland to innovate, both in policy and its economy, and that the UK government has instead fallen too harshly on the side of being prescriptive about what must be done in devolved areas. We are concerned that the Act, in effect, enforces the Tory free market view of the world, stiffening Scotland's ability to set its own standards through public procurement practice. Thanks to the emphasis of non-discrimination and mutual recognition, Scottish businesses, particularly the agricultural sector, could be put at risk if the Tories pursue their regulatory wars instinct and insist on lowering the standards that we have been used to over the last few decades. I am, however, pleased to see that examination this tension, the committee has also underscored the importance and economic benefit of open trade across the UK. I note that the committee heard evidences from example of complete or near complete integration in supply chains within the UK. It's surely there follow that the imposition of trade barriers with Great Britain, as would inevitably happen under the Scottish Government's plan for independence, would cause a significant disruption of those supply chains and to the wider economy. Certain members may not like to hear it, but it is the logical consequence of having such a depth integration within our economy. The committee reports also makes it clear that there is a room within the common framework to work through some of the tensions that have been caused to the devolution settlement by this Act, but crucially highlights the power imbalance, the risk causing between executive and legislative across the UK. It is perhaps not surprising that it is committees like those of this Parliament and House of Lords and Westminster which are highlighting this tension and the distinct lack of transparency in the intergovernment system. Put simply, we in this Parliament and legislators across the UK need to be able to see and comment upon the process that go on the common frameworks. So to the other stakeholders in the economic and regulatory environment. We cannot possibly repair the confidence in our devolved settlement if all the work to do so and done in the dark, away from the eyes of those with interest in the system and how it's supposed to function. I am grateful to the committee for all this work in bringing this concern to the Parliament. And we on this benches look forward engaging with ongoing work in addressing this matter in future. Thank you.